Hello everyone, this is Jack Frost with a little update for silver. On the monthly Elliott Wave chart, price has increased after the end of cycle wave 2 just here, now increasing for cycle wave 3 within super cycle wave 1 of grand super cycle wave 3. I've left this arrow untouched to show where we expected price to go and where price has since continued towards. Intermediate waves 3 and 4 are labelled complete here and here, with intermediate wave 5 and the end of primary wave 3 to continue upwards. Within cycle wave 3, any second wave corrective movement cannot move below its start at 17.589, meaning if primary wave 2 continues any lower, it cannot move below that point. As these are overlapping third waves at two large degrees, primary and cycle degree, it should come with increasing range and momentum, particularly for the end of intermediate wave 5 and primary wave 3, and eventually when it arrives the end of primary wave 5 and cycle wave 3, as it is a fifth wave ending a third wave 1 degree higher, which can exhibit a blow off top and increasing range and bullish momentum at that point. And the end of intermediate wave 4 on the monthly chart. Is this point just here on the weekly chart, we can see more detail for the upwards movement labelled intermediate wave 3 as well as intermediate waves 1 and 2. Price now expected to continue upwards for the early to mid stages of intermediate wave 5. A point above 32.700 would add confidence to this wave count, as it is the invalidation for the alternate, which you will see in a minute. That would see price moving above this point just here. A base channel is drawn around the primary degree movements from the beginning of primary wave 1 to the left of the chart to the end of primary wave 2 just here, with a copy on the end of primary wave 1 also to the left of the chart. Intermediate wave 3 has broken just above resistance at the upper edge of that base channel, and as primary wave 3 continues, it is expected to break above the base channel with a full green candlestick above and not touching. If that does occur at this point, it will add confidence to this wave count. Within intermediate wave 5, any second wave corrective movement cannot move below its start at 26.524. And as it continues higher, cycle wave 3 has a target calculated at 46.82, which is the 1.618 Fibonacci ratio between that and cycle wave 1. At this point, for the short term, price has found resistance at the upper edge of this base channel drawn around the primary degree movements. This wave count expects it to continue upwards, breaking above the base channel at some point soon. And this end of intermediate wave 4 on the weekly chart. Is the slow on the daily chart, we can see more detail for the downwards movement for intermediate wave 4 subdividing as a complete zigzag, with price now continuing up and away for the end of minor wave 1 within intermediate wave 5. Within minor wave 1, any second wave corrective movement cannot move below its start at 26.524, meaning if minute wave 2 wants to continue any lower, it cannot move below this point, and when minor wave 2 eventually arrives, it cannot move below that point. With price now expected to continue upwards for the end of minute wave 5 and minor wave 1, increasing bullish range and momentum is expected, though it does still see intermediate wave 5 and the end of primary wave 3 to continue for quite a while at this point. On this weekly alternate chart, this wave count sees intermediate wave 4 incomplete, continuing lower as an expanded flat, with minor wave B retracing just around 105% of minor wave A. As price continues lower, a point below 26.524 would add confidence to this wave count, as it is the invalidation for the main wave count. And as intermediate wave 4 continues lower, it cannot move into intermediate wave 1 price territory at 26.123. As intermediate wave 4 continues lower, it may find support at the lower edge of the base channel, copied over from the main weekly chart as you previously saw. And an additional point above 32.700 would invalidate this wave count, as it would see a corrective movement within minor wave C moving above its start at that point. On the technical monthly chart, price has increased after this last low, falling ever so slightly short of support at 17, currently hovering around support prior resistance at 30. Volume for the very short term supports upwards movement, with the pushes on the various bearish candlesticks and particularly stronger volume on the bearish candlesticks in relation to their neighboring bullish candlesticks, though overall pushes on the bullish candlesticks sees volume supporting upwards movement for the long term. ADX is increasing, though at this point it is below 20, so for this market that indicates no clear trend. If ADX continues to increase to and above 20, it will give a strong bullish signal. Additionally, when ADX began to increase, it was below both DX lines, so if ADX does continue and eventually exhibits a bullish trend, it will give the strongest bullish signal it can, increasing from a low point and below both DX lines. On balance, volume continues within a very flat range, a slight bullish signal as price previously reacted to support. ATR is steadily increasing along with price for the very short term, previously declining along with price, giving an overall bullish outlook for volatility at the monthly time frame. And as ADX does not exhibit any clear trend at this point, The model of stochastics and support and resistance for the monthly chart suggests an upward swing may continue, and at this point we do not have any resistance overhead, though we can look for resistance at round numbers. The nearest resistance may be found around 35. Please note that at this point we do prefer the daily time frame for short-term price fluctuations. And on the technical, weekly chart price has increased after finding support at 27. The strong bullish engulfing pattern moving price above resistance, now support at 30. This current candlestick is incomplete, so it is not labeled a bearish engulfing pattern, though at this point it is a very strong bearish pattern as price moves lower to find support at 30. Volume supports upwards movement overall, with stronger volume on the bullish candlesticks, particularly in relation to their neighboring bearish candlesticks. ADX increases with a bullish trend that is in its early stages and not yet in danger of ending. On balance volume previously breaking above resistance, giving a weak bullish signal. This is only a weak signal as this resistance line had quite a noticeable slope, was not very long held, and only had the minimum 2 tests. RSI is neutral with quite a bit of room before it may enter overbought or oversold. Money flow is also neutral with quite a bit of room before it may enter overbought or oversold. Additionally, neither RSI or money flow exhibit divergence at this point. ATR has declined for the very short term, giving a slight bearish outlook for volatility at this point. And as this trend indicated by ADX is not yet in danger of ending, as it is not yet extreme, it may continue to where ADX reaches extreme or very extreme conditions, while RSI and money flow may enter overbought and or exhibit some divergence. This supports the main Elliott Wave count at this point. On the technical, daily chart price has increased after finding support at 30 for the very short term, moving lower after finding resistance at 32. Volume supports upwards movement with the strongest volume on the bullish candlesticks, though a push on some of the bearish candlesticks does see some strength for downwards movement. At the daily time frame, ADX declines, showing no clear trend. On balance, volume has previously broken above resistance, giving a reasonable bullish signal, as this resistance line had 4 tests, not too much of a slope, and was somewhat long held. On balance, volume has failed to find support at prior resistance. For the short term, ADX increases along with price, giving a bullish outlook for volatility at the daily time frame. And as ADX declines for the daily chart, we use the model of stochastics and support and resistance, which suggests a downward swing may occur at this point, towards support around 30, where price finds that support point, while stochastics may enter oversold. That's all for me with your little update for silver. If you would like an update for gold, I do that 5 days a week with a video at the end of each week at pureelliottwave.com, and you are welcome to sign up for that today using the link in the description below. Thank you, and I hope everyone has a good day.